Good evening. It's Wednesday, March 30th, 2022. Welcome back to BoomerRexTonight, your nearly daily source for news and politics. Hey, asshole, what makes our show different from other millennial news podcasts?
That you said if we sing at the beginning of the show, you'll punch us again?
I didn't punch either of you, you lying son of a bitch.
So not that. We've got a scary ceremonial looking dagger over in the cupboard over there.
We certainly do. But we also have a boomer, and not just any boomer, Mr. Boomer Rex himself. You two eat, sleep, and breathe politics, and I'm still learning. That's three unique perspectives we share along with the facts from our literal round table. So I spent a lot of today, actually most of the day, going through our deep dives and starting to separate them from the main part of the show. So I will be posting those on our YouTube and on our Podbean as their own separate entity.
Cool. Okay.
So it'll be easier for people who are just curious about this one thing to go check it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Good idea.
yeah, I started with the most recent, obviously, the false confessions, and before that we did the State of the Union deep dive. So those ones I have prepared, and I will be posting them.
Yep. Mental health care. Yeah.
Yep, I'll do the mental health. I'll go all the way back to our Halloween episodes, and I'll cut those out because those were fun too.
Okay.
And our Thanksgiving ones and stuff like that.
Cool.
So my intent is to go through and start separating some of this out to make it easier if you're, joining us
Interested in
now.
the subject.
Yeah.
So
And
catch up on
maybe the
And
news
don't want to hear
goals-
about news from 3 years ago.
right, or
Yeah, I
whatever.
hadn't thought about
so now you can go through and just watch the factual pieces that we do.
And if you're listening to the show actively, you've kind of got a feel for the flavor of each of us.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe that way you can just share that link to a friend of yours, right? If they're talking about something or they're having problems with the law, or you know what I mean, they don't know about Thanksgiving and the reality of it, or they didn't hear about these fun Christmas things that we did. So this way you can share those individually. So that's my intent, and it might take me a while, but I have already begun.
Excellent.
Cool.
So let's dig right into our headlines. Tell me about dumbass of the day.
Yeah. Well, you got to hand it to Madison Cawthorn, right? So he gets
Only
up.
if it is a jar of radioactive spiders with AIDS.
Oh, okay.
Right?
With radioactive AIDS or something. I don't fucking know.
So anyway, he gets up and he talks about how the GOP is having coke-fueled orgies. And then, of course, he gets called on the carpet by Kevin McCarthy and so on. And you can see that the Republican Party has taken their stance on this, right? Is they're going to use the word baseless a lot and so forth and so on.
It's always baseless till we catch you in an old pickup truck with a fucking male prostitute and meth, and you go, I was just here for the meth.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway,
No, like
how many Republicans do we have to point to who've been, never mind.
the Hastert rule,
Yeah.
which apparently is let's bring a lazy boy into the shower and watch them kids get clean. The fuck, man, and like that's like not even hiding. Like,
Yeah.
goddamn QAnon, maybe check your own fucking yard.
Yeah, a little bit. It just
QAnon,
seems like,
QAnon, the cabal, they've penetrated you. They're inside you.
yeah.
Fucking dipshits, goddamn.
Well, how many of the mega churches now have come apart because of
Yeah,
some sexual
that's how
misbehavior?
they always come apart.
Yeah. It's like standard.
Otherwise, they move to some other country and it gets real weird, real like Santa shootingly weird.
So anyway, so the GOP has decided these are all baseless claims, but at the same time, Madison Cawthorn made them, so now they have to get even with him. So Senator Tom Tillis has now endorsed his primary opponent, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Goddamn, so fucking dumb. How do you not just come out and go, yeah, you should probably stop hanging out with Matt Gaetz, huh?
Yeah, no, because
Matt Gaetz is already half eaten by the bus.
I'm sorry, he says coke-fueled orgies, and I have an image of Mitch McConnell, right? And
Okay, well,
You know,
you should
it's-
probably tell someone, not me,
no,
about
I need to
that.
get my brain washed out.
Right?
Oh my God. But, of course, here comes back Roger Stone. He says, Madison Cawthorn still thinks the drug-fueled orgies are real.
Man who knows of what he speaks.
No shit. If there's anybody around who should know, it's Roger Stone.
And actually, I respect Roger Stone for that, because that's not, like, a secret. This isn't like Elliot Spitzer getting in trouble for choking hookers. This isn't like fucking, who's his name? The Democrat for the Clintons who switched teams. Morris, who's into the feet.
Yeah.
Like, or was reported to be. Like,
so anyway, the website, what was it? Local Swing Fever.
something.
Yeah. Insatiable lady and her handsome bodybuilder husband.
Hey, I'm all about it. Good
So
job.
Roger Stone.
Get your fuck on, Roger Stone.
Yeah. But the fact that he still thinks Madison Cawthorn is believing in them drug-filled orgies, and
Yeah, no,
I'm kind of tempted to take Roger Stone's
I feel
word.
like Roger Stone went to some of these drug-filled
Oh,
orgies.
I'm certain.
No, this is dinging something in my head. We were listening to a podcast one time, and they were talking about
Exactly this, but
Oh, okay, that's what this is. Fine.
Roger Stone's
And was it
history
the
of
same-
drug-fueled orgies.
Was it the same person who reported on it, or was
No.
that okay? Fine.
Cawthorn's just making shit up. Roger Stone's actually been to drug-fueled orgies because he's fucking cool, and that's the difference for me, right? Manafort, who did the like whole Good Family Man thing, and was apparently making his wife bang all kinds of people she didn't really want to.
Really, I hadn't
That's
heard
fucking
that.
scummy.
Okay.
All right, that's what his daughters were texting each other about. So I have no idea if it's true
okay.
or not. But that's different than Roger Stone, who appears to have had a quite happy and apparently healthy sex
Franklin
life.
Graham. And,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
No, when you do the family values shit and then it comes out that, oh, you're
Yeah.
into weird sex because you're judgy about
And then
sex.
they always expect that doing the
Oh, yeah.
I've had a conversation with Jesus, and Jesus is going to forgive me,
Of
and
course
they
he
think
is.
that's going to make it all better.
I mean,
And
No.
altogether,
In
too
what way are
fucking
they
often
wrong?
it does.
No, my thing is that
Jim Baker's still doing the Jim Baker thing.
I believe that almost every time, 100%, almost every fucking time, people who come out hard against something
Are doing it.
had those thought processes in their head,
Yeah.
and when they heard other people did it, they were jealous, and they're
And
like,
they're-
"Oh, how do you do this?" Or "I did that
That's-
once, and oh, I feel weird about it. I feel weird about myself now. I feel weird that I like the idea of this, so I must be against it 100%."
There's some fairly compelling studies to
That
suggest
suggests just that.
because
Which would make you worry about some of the Republicans who's so worried about furries and
no,
litter
that's for sure.
boxes
Like they want to
and-
fuck someone in an animal suit, and that's fine. I've seen some humans in animal suits I'd want to fuck.
oh yeah.
Right, the whole concept of doth protest too much.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, and that's why the alt right is all about the cuck.
I want credit for that because I used
Yeah.
it last night. But anyway,
Okay,
fair.
good job.
anyway.
Oh, but no, I have little trouble believing Cawthorn's telling the truth, and not just in weirdo Matt Gates fundraising adventures or whatever it is, Matt Gates, and I don't know. Hold that tax collector upside down and shake him some more. More shit will
Right.
fall out, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Shake him like a Polaroid picture.
Kind of. I don't even think you have to at this point. I think you're gonna have to slap him to make him shut up.
They had a court update on his buddy. That
Yeah, and it was sealed.
Yeah, it was
And-
sealed.
Yeah.
So anyway, ongoing
That's what
investigation.
it looks like when you're snitching, when your buddy's snitching.
further.
All right, so tell me about Merrick Garland expands DOJ investigation.
All right. So, we've all been watching Merrick Garland and with the insurrection and so forth going.
Right.
Thank God we didn't put Casper Milquetoast on the Supreme Court.
Oh, Jesus.
But
That
it
would've
turns
been
out
fun.
that DOJ, in the past 2 months, they've issued several subpoenas to some of Donald Trump's, former folks in his orbit, right?
Right.
Who assisted in the planning, funding, and execution of the January 6th rally. So they may be working up on looking to see who put this together and how they incited it, and
Well, and that one judge
who
already
they
said,
paid, and
that one judge already said it looks like Trump did some illegal shit.
yep.
If I were Ollie, what's his name, I would be fucking terrified. The idiot that was setting up the little protests over by the side thing.
Yeah, true.
Because that's who they're. All right, they're not going after Ginny Thomas. The FBI has business in front of the Supreme Court. They're not about to start a fight with the winning team on it.
Ain't that a sad thing to say?
Hmm.
Anyway, so there is a tiny bit of evidence that we may have awakened Merrick Garland to the point that he's aware that he's the Attorney General and could do something about the insurrection.
Oh my God, we have to do a meme of Merrick Garland as that turtle from the Never-Ending Story.
Oh, God.
The one that's
yeah.
hard to keep awake.
Yeah.
Or Mitch McConnell. I just want to be mean to one of these turtle-faced pieces of shit.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've got some memes of Mitch McConnell we could just retread with Merrick Garland's face.
Fucking goddamn. And I hope so. Like I get the desire to. All right, this has to be above board. It can't look partisan.
From Never-Ending Story.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the one with the trade. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, no, this has to be good, clean investigation with good, clean evidence. Bring him to trial,
Yeah.
convict him, and jail him.
And as we've seen, the FBI is full of dipshits that text each other all the time about all kinds of dumb shit. Because God fucking damn it, the FBI. Why are you stupid? You can't all still be Catholics from Boston. They had to have hired someone competent by now. Just the law of big numbers says.
There ought to be one or two. Yep.
All right. So,
Go ahead.
let's move on to UK intelligence reports Russian soldiers are low on morale and refuse to carry out orders.
Oh
Yeah, this is, and they're not saying this as it appears. It's saying this. They're saying this happened.
This is the one with the tank and the guy? They appear to have run over one of their officers' legs.
Oh shit. They also appear to have shot down one of their own aircraft.
The fuck?
So,
Whoa.
and-
I have questions.
Yeah.
Does that mean they're flying with their IFF off?
my guess would be that Russian IFF,
Yeah,
if there is
fine.
such a thing, doesn't reach
Two generals
down
furiously
to
shouting at each other.
doesn't reach down to American or Russian anti-air missiles. So,
And I mean,
again, when we would bring U.S. Air Force officers, pilots, right, out to see what we could do, and we're talking about back with a red eye,
yeah,
and we'd hand them a red eye trainer and let them shoot down their buddies. And typically they'd wander off in the woods and puke. And then they'd come back and say, do these things really work? And how do you know who's good guys and bad guys? And of course, the answer from the air defense artillery always was, good guys, bad guys? Fuck it. Shoot them all down, sort them out on the ground, right?
if no one's in
A whole
the
lot
sky,
easier.
it's fine.
But anyway, yeah, those little, man pads, those things are fucking dangerous. And they're especially dangerous if you're flying around looking for a target, right? Because now you're in the area longer, you can't loft it, you can't, if you have to overfly your target, you better hope the other team doesn't have a man pad.
Right.
So-
Well, and Russia claims that they're, we're pulling out so that they
Yeah,
can
right.
whatever. But instead, what they've been doing is air bombing these
Reloading.
places.
Yeah. Including a Red Cross facility, a marked
Had the
IRC
big red.
So
facility.
now war crime is like, that question is settled.
Yeah, that is a war crime, period.
Good.
And it was clearly targeted.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Now,
and
remember, we
again-
bombed that Doctors Without Borders thing, but
I would love to know.
and then
that-
we rammed its gate with an armored vehicle, so we were shitheads twice in the same spot.
I'll be interested.
Yeah, and wrong both times, as it turned out.
I'll be interested to look at the numbers when this is all said and done.
Yeah.
Of how many civilians versus how many military
Oh, yeah.
targets. Because we know for a fact, and I will say that they have been firing on
Yeah.
Ukrainian civilians.
Hey, Ukraine, go get some of those artillery troops and their officers and drag the troops back and interrogate them. And then you can try the officers for war crimes
There you go.
and hang them. So, anyway.
Oh, you didn't have this in any of your things, but I did want to mention it while we're talking about the Ukraine thing. So Ukraine actually provides a huge amount of wheat
Yes.
to the general area, right?
Yeah,
So
Ukraine was
Turkey
always
and-
the breadbasket of Russia. That's
Right.
one of the reasons Putin wants them back.
Yep.
So here's part of the problem is because of this war and everything, they're saying that they could, that they're looking right now at about 30% loss A lot of farmers can't even plant because of the war.
Yeah.
And this is the time to plant.
And why
Yeah.
would you if you think you might end up on the wrong side of the lines?
So this is becoming a real, this will become a huge issue.
Yeah.
And another big problem is I just saw that Germany is having issues with natural gas.
Yep.
Russia wants their payment in rubles,
Yep.
and Germany and all of the EU are like, no,
Nope.
we're not paying you in fucking rubles.
That's how you can tell you're a real country. When your contracts are in your dollars,
Yeah.
you're in charge.
So
And sadly, theirs weren't.
Nope.
So Germany has a very interesting.
Well, they were. What's the global equivalent to a diversity hire, but not the racist answer?
An equal opportunity hire?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's
Okay.
what they were allowed in on the G8 on the.
Yeah, they really were.
So Germany has an
I think
interest-
Virginia would have been in front of them.
Yeah.
has an interesting way of handling this. And what they do is they say they've put on, like, they have 3 warnings, right? So the first one is, batten down the hatches, use as little natural gas as you can,
Yep.
right? The second warning is, all unnecessary
Usage. Yeah.
usage stops.
Yep.
And then if it goes beyond that, the first people who get cut off are industry.
Yep.
Fucking well played. Germany has it right, because the industry is the one that's going to use it and waste the most the fastest.
Country's not Germany. While Germany's supplies are running low in your country, you should invest heavily in your manufacturing sector.
Yep.
Because Germany's idea that everyone should just run a trade surplus is dumb.
So anyway, I remember the U.S. has lots of natural gas and lots of LNG tankers and so on. So it was dumb of the Germans to rely on the Russians. Take one look at Putin and know you shouldn't be doing business with that asshole.
Oh yeah, and it sounds like they have no interest in trying to work this out, and neither does Putin.
Nope.
So
No, that was this would have worked if they had done it in winter.
Yeah.
If they hadn't waited for the Olympics, but they have to, or China will beat their ass.
Yeah.
Because if this is what they can produce, unless China's also a paper tiger, Russia's in serious trouble in the idea of holding Siberia.
Yep.
So, all right. So let's move on to Boomer Rex's About Damn Time.
So this
Ooh,
is great.
Is fun.
So Alex Jones, of course, did the, he had a defamation case related to his false claim that the murders at Sandy Hook were, theater and so forth and so on, and then failed to show up for a deposition.
Okay.
So the families have rejected his offer of a settlement so that the deposition was required, and the judge has determined that there was no reasonable, what the judge said, intentionally failed to comply with the orders of the court. There is no adequate factual basis to explain his failures. So now he's paying, the first day will be $25,000.
Right.
The second day will be $50,000. The third day will be $75,000.
But yeah, it adds 25 each day he doesn't. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Or doesn't show up for the deposition.
Yep.
Which
Alex
is-
Jones, I know you listen. So, let me give you a piece of advice, because I think you might have dumb lawyers. You're not Howard Stern. This isn't going to be like the FCC fine, where you can just rack up the points to a crazy number and say, come and get me, and they won't. Like, this court might.
No, he tried to
This
offer...
is a judge who can order
Yeah.
somebody to come get you.
Right.
Yep.
He tried to offer a settlement to the families of
$125.
$125,000 per
Each.
family.
Okay.
And the families were like, no, we want you to be dragged through the mud like we were.
No.
Yeah,
Fuck off.
yeah. This is excellent.
So-
It's a perfect way to play this. And Alex Jones is playing on thin ice. So, and Alex Jones isn't a big enough anything
No.
not to be
No, and
prosecuted.
he's
He may
struggling.
think he's important, and he's going to find out he can go to jail.
I'm going to be
So-
honest with you. I don't think he believes he's important anymore. I really think he understands he's in a he's in a tough position right now.
I think he
not-
understands he got blowfished by the Russians.
Yeah.
That they came in and bought a shit ton of stuff and everything was going really, really good, and that's why he went crazy and he was interviewing Trump and all the things, and then like the NRA and everyone else
Kind of
it
dried
went away.
up. Yeah.
But yeah, so he is he's really not in his right state of mind. He's
Yeah. Well, we'll see
Really
what happens to him. It'll be fun to watch.
so I'm curious to see how this plays out, because this might be his final downfall. I don't think so.
Oh no, he'll continue.
He's like
to
a
be around and
cockroach,
babble.
right? He'll
Yeah.
just keep crawling around, and you'll be like, God
Yeah.
damn it! Didn't we see you?"
If he gets crushed hard enough in this, he'll go off and be evangelical. Right, he'll have a big come to Jesus thing, and he'll triple the quality of evangelical blather.
Yep. Become the QAnon mouthpiece.
Do you think
He can't.
he'll-
They hate each other.
Yeah.
Oh well,
He tried to make his own guy.
he could have a come to Jesus.
Oh yeah, but I would infect what's left of the evangelicals that aren't Q'd, as opposed to going and dealing with the Q kids, because I think those ones don't have any money left.
Right. All right, so let's move on. Trump phone call from January 6th deleted?
Yeah, I don't know. It's not on the official log, but it definitely happened during that period. It was made from a White House number, 202-395-0000, right, which is the number the trunk number they send out to identify the calling source. And so he made a call to Mike Lee, and during that period when there's nothing listed, so it certainly should have been on the call log, and it wasn't. It was recorded in the internal, it wasn't included in the internal presidential call log that was turned over to the House Select Committee. Again, it should have been, since it was made from an official White House phone. And it raises the prospect of somebody tampering with or deleting things during that period. What was it, Nixon and the how many minute gap? 18-minute gap? Yeah.
This was a 7-hour.
This was 457 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was 37 times as bad.
Well, and
And-
here's
and-
something we know should have been in that period and wasn't,
Yep.
right? So anyway, it's a serious violation of the Presidential Records Act. And it raises the question, which of the Trump White House officials could obfuscate or tamper
Yep.
with the presidential call log? And that would be a serious felony. And once you find out who messed with it, you begin to be able to ask some other questions.
If I were Biden, I would announce that we're having a mandatory all the White House staff come into the building, please meeting, and have the FBI follow them in. And I would leave on Marine One, and they could be interviewed until we find out what the fuck happened.
Yeah.
Or, right, you can all be fired. The military can replace every job you have.
I would doubt that anybody who helped Trump is still in the White House.
Don't know.
Yeah. You can certainly ask yours.
There are questions about the structure of this system that can only be answered by the people who work at it.
Absolutely.
And you're going to stay in this building until those questions have been answered.
Love it. Yep.
Well, because if for nothing else, even if these people have been replaced,
This will never
person-
happen again.
right, the person who's in that position now will know if that's something they would be able to
The
do.
people who are
right?
going to stay, the actual workers that do these jobs must understand this will never happen again. That if this does happen, you were to go immediately to the nearest press and start talking.
Yep.
Right, the only safety valve in the right, we have always leaked. That's actually a good thing.
That's a good
That's how you keep really evil shit from staying secret.
Yep.
And if we're going to start this, that's it. That's the end, right?
Yep. If you can't trust the data that's required to be there, then there's a problem.
No, and this, this whole thing was enacted after the Nixon incident.
Yeah.
So that we could keep track of what presidents are doing every second of every day in the White House,
Yep.
which is the whole point. So to have a gap like this in a log is extremely concerning, especially when we have proof that there was at least one phone call received during that time.
And if you want to make money, you're going to make $100,000 at least a speech because they were paying Hillary that, and she never was and never will be president.
Yeah.
Well, and my biggest concern is that a 7+ hour gap during an insurrection.
Yep.
What the fuck? You didn't talk to anybody for 7 hours? I don't fucking believe it, especially when he was tweeting the whole
Well, and
time.
we know that members of that team went out and bought burner phones. So I'd be shocked if they weren't using burner phones. But again,
Well, and I've also heard that Trump was known for borrowing, say, his aides phones and stuff like that, which he's not supposed to do.
I don't understand why any of that even fucking matters. Right? How is the White House not the cell tower that all cell transmissions for a 4-block area go through? Because fuck you, that's why. Right? Or jammers or whatever you need, but
turns
if
out
it's on
that
on the grounds.
turns out that the official White House cell phones go out with the 202 395.
I'm not talking about that. I'm
Okay.
saying any call initiated within sight of the White House should run through a cell tower that belongs to the White House and is recorded and logged more thoroughly than any 6 other
The
phone
call
calls.
logging for Washington, D.C. is pretty good.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So,
That data's there. We just have to have a corner to dig at to begin to pull it up.
and the DOJ, that'll do
Takes
some
one,
digging.
takes one number.
Hey,
You run your one number, now you've got
Honestly.
12 other
Yep.
numbers.
Yeah, I would
3
start
helps off everybody.
with his staffers.
Yep.
Who were they calling? When were they calling them? How long were they on the call? And
Yep.
move forward from there.
Yeah.
So,
No, it is my one big dream that the Democrats have figured this out, and the public hearings on January 6th are going to be gross and go on all day and be the news cycle.
Yeah.
yeah. All right. FBI raids home after threats are made to judge, attorney, and potential witnesses.
Yeah, so they raided a residence on the outskirts of Detroit on Friday. But it was in connection with threats made to the judge, 2 defense attorneys, and 1 potential witness in the ongoing federal trial of those 4 assholes who wanted to kidnap Whitmer.
That makes sense.
So, going to be kind of interesting. The fact
Yeah, no, I saw this and I was like, that's because we reported on the threats that he was making previously. I think I'm pretty sure we did. And then to see this outcome is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like, at least they're doing something.
well, the fact that they went to a residence means they have data.
right.
So, somebody's probably in a fair amount of trouble.
Good.
Yeah.
Fuck them.
And the charges from that probably more serious than the charges against the kidnappers.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I still think we should raise a radio free free city in the Detroit Blight.
a free city?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We acknowledge the federal government because they have tanks and shit, but I would not acknowledge Detroit's authority.
Ah, okay. Yes.
All right.
Understood.
So, updates with Boomer Rex. What's going on with Omicron?
So we've seen a mild uptick in cases.
Mm-hmm.
Not good news, and we'll see how it trends. But we may get us another surge here. We'll see.
All right.
And then moving on to climate
Climate
weirding.
weirding.
So Oklahoma knows about tornadoes.
Arkansas too.
Arkansas. And again, lots and lots of early storms with lots of energy.
I was glad to see the
now,
Arkansas kids were
Are
injured,
these
not dead.
tornadoes
Right.
still happening within our normal range of Tornado Alley?
The current warnings for today are south of what is typically considered Tornado Alley.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
becoming
Right.
more tornado corner lot.
Yeah.
Fine.
So, and again, down closer to the Gulf, right? Because
Right. That's
the
where
tornadoes
warm air
need the
is, yep.
energy, right? So, anyway,
All
we'll see
right.
what they get overnight.
So,
Overnight is not good, guys. You don't want a tornado in the middle of the goddamn night.
Right. So on Monday we talked about that story where Arizona is getting rid of a bunch of things from schools and literally tying teachers' hands behind their backs, right? So
You know, setting them up for Karen.
they used a lot of
Anacronyms, but they're
thank you.
technically initializations.
Initializations, whatever, that we couldn't figure out. So one of them we thought was ZSE,
That's what
been-
was reported.
Right, but that's been changed.
Oh, okay.
They edited it, it looks like. So it was actually CSE.
Okay.
So the three acronyms or initializations that were used were SEL, CRT, and CSE.
Okay.
So SEL, from my research, is social emotional learning.
Okay.
And CRT, we all know, is critical race theory.
Right.
Now, CSE gets a little hairy in the middle.
Okay.
Because there's two potential options. One is the Committee on Special Education.
Yep.
So people who are slow or need extra help or need reduction in their homework
Yeah.
and such because they take longer, that kind of thing. Which to me was like weird. I'm like, why would you want to be like, why would you want to stop that at all? But the other one, which makes more sense and which I think he was actually referring to, is comprehensive sexuality education.
Okay.
So training people, about their bodies and what they do and how they work and, their,
Most of this stuff.
All those things that
reproductive
are
organs.
so much more fun to learn in the back seat of a car. But anyway.
I think my favorite part about middle school was health class, where the teacher made us say penis and fallopian tubes.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah,
No, and
we
that-
all shouted it, and we went through the school yelling them all day. It was fun.
No,
It was a
the
good time.
problem with this is they've got a specific example for each of these. Right, they've got a landmine. They're going to set it off. It's like, because if corporate America can't get good race relations training, there is zero chance your kid's fucking school is. Remember,
Agreed.
when they allowed gambling in wherever you live, and all that money was supposed to go to the school, and then your city cut the school budget by exactly that much, and now your school's in a death spiral.
Yeah.
And let's just be happy, hopefully your kid's not on heroin.
And the politicians are dividing the money from the gambling,
Well,
So,
among their pet projects or among their own pockets in many cases.
right. So for those of you who are
Always
like,
hire a consultant who'll give you half his consulting fee.
Risen, what the hell is SEO? Like, what the fuck is that? Apparently it's got 5 main components, and it's self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision making.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So skills that every person should have.
Absolutely.
I'm not really sure what their case against this is.
Somebody's gonna have fucked up a stranger danger course or something else, right?
Oh,
It's you saw who's its example when they were cutting the lectures at school board meetings when they read the nonsense text from books for 7th and 8th graders and pretend that it's happening to kindergartners.
Yeah.
And there have been idiot dumb shit thing. Back in the 90s, there was an example of dumb shit, right? That what would be called overly woke now or whatever. Where you couldn't read stories to kids in some school in California about dolphins because maybe some of the kids hadn't seen dolphins. And yeah, it's the kind of thing where, they've got one example, right? For a lot of the CRT, they're going to point to whichever private school that fucked it up by talking about, now, all of you white kids, you're the oppressors and white devils. And
Yeah.
I mean, accurate, but you probably don't need to tell a 7-year-old about most of this.
Right.
I'm just trying.
So my question is, so just because a kid might not have the opportunity in the moment that they are taught about a dolphin, so they might not see a dolphin or another animal, right? Like maybe they don't have armadillos where they live.
Yep.
Does that mean we should not teach children about these animals?
That's what
How many
this
kids are going to
one
see an elephant in their
Dumb
life?
shit. And I'm
Should we-
assume it wasn't even said to a class. I assume it was basically, right, a poorly understood example for teachers' instruction on selecting what books to read.
Yeah.
Right, that you might want to try and tailor your reading selection for story time to the kids in the goddamn room, not you.
So, yeah, and tailor it to their life experiences, which at least is a decent starting point.
No, these people. So the Marine Corps invented the Manhunter program and wrote some interesting books about it. Because the Marine Corps realized that they have a very wide and diverse population of people who'd like to be Marines. Some of them have had very dangerous lives in very dangerous places, and some of them grew up on places that grew corn. And after an amount of time, kind of everybody ended up at the same level of whatever. But there was probably a faster way to cross-load some of that information about, I think it's about to get violent up in here.
Yeah.
Which, if you haven't been in rooms where it got violent up in when you were small enough that you weren't going to have a fight with nobody and win, maybe the family dog, you learned a different set of skills than if you came from a happy, functional home where people use their words and not their hands to talk.
Right.
So, but no one complained about that because it makes better Marines, so it's fine.
Yep.
And this is a lot the same stuff.
All right, let me take a minute to just there's actually a very short paragraph that has exactly what each of these things about SEL.
Yep.
Okay.
And I just want to read them real quick. So self-awareness is the skill of having knowledge of one's own emotions and developing a positive self-concept. Self-management is the ability to regulate one's own emotions and monitor one's own behaviors, which is important. This also pertains to intrinsic motivation and setting personal goals. Social awareness is the ability to have awareness of the emotions and social situations of other people. Relationship skills are defined as the skills to foster relationships and communicate within them. As the saying goes, treat others how you want to be treated. Finally, SEL prioritizes responsible decision making as the ability to solve problems and hold one's self accountable.
Yeah.
These core ideologies help students to live socially and emotionally healthy lives both during and after their time in the school system. Now, the weird thing is I read this and I said, I learned all that shit in elementary school.
Yep.
And it wasn't called SEL. This
Nope.
was just part of my regular classes.
Yeah.
And this is important because I agree. I don't feel like this is taught. I actually had to aggressively take it upon myself to teach my son to take responsibility, right? And that he can control his own emotions because he went through a phase where he was convinced that he couldn't control his own emotions.
Yep.
So I taught him how to do so. And that's important, especially for young children who maybe are going through a hard time. I divorced his father, my son's father, during this rough phase of his, and his grandmother died, stuff like that, great grandmother. But the point is that he was going through some stuff, and he had some emotions that he needed to learn when and where was an appropriate time and how to let them out in an appropriate manner.
Yeah.
And I feel like I was taught that better in school. I mean, again, it wasn't the way that I taught him, of course, but
Your school probably wasn't as focused on passing the standardized test as modern schools.
Yep.
maybe. Well, I don't think we had standardized testing when I was in elementary school.
We had standardized testing when I was in elementary school.
There wasn't as much. Gen Z is going to eventually eclipse us, but we are currently the most heavily tested generation in American history.
Okay.
Right, that's what remember the finals and midterms and stuff and the state tests?
Yeah, that wasn't until I got to high school.
Fine.
Right.
So, no, I saw those in middle school and other places.
Oh,
So,
no,
right.
we didn't have those until high school.
So Frosty, Mississippi may not have been doing all that much testing. So, no, a lot of that's what pisses me off so much about this. This isn't even what they care about. This isn't where they want to have the discussion. This is just one more chance to go, they're teaching your kids something you don't know.
Yeah.
It's those
Violating parents'
those fucking
rights.
eggheads. Not even that. It's about the fucking eggheads who know things. This is about knowing and not knowing. Making sure there's enough room for God to hide in the fucking shadows or whatever.
But my whole point of wanting to share this
in the shadows
is so that people understand what it is and understand that this is not a bad thing.
No.
This is not a bad thing at all in any manner. And for people to say it is ridiculous. It's like saying that critical race theory is taught in K through 12. It is aggressively not. And you can't say that learning about Black history is CRT because it's not.
It's not.
It's not even close to the same.
Not for anyone who cares what words mean, but for people who care only about getting people to believe something on one day of the week, it's fine. It's good enough.
Yeah.
It'll motivate the shit out of them.
It's good enough for Pappy, and it's good
Again,
enough for
I'm
me.
absolutely willing to outlaw, under penalty of death, sexual reassignment surgery performed on anyone under 18 who doesn't have a DNA test saying we fucked something up. In exchange for, under penalty of death, blanket training is now illegal.
Yeah.
You beat the curiosity out of a child, they're gonna take the building and shoot every adult who stands up. Fuck around and find out. But no, that's why I hate this, is they know they're losing traction on CRT. They needed some other stuff. The news will now go into weeks of that. We get bashed for being seen as preachy and, right, lecturing. And this lets them do that, right? That we have over-systemized teaching
When
kids
the things
to be
that
good
matter,
fucking humans.
when the things that matter, right, are the ability of the average American to make a fucking living wage in 40 hours a week, right? To maintain a family, to have decent health care that they can afford, to have a justice system that works for them. All the things the Democratic Party's done jack fucking shit about for 40 years. Get off your ass, make America work for all Americans.
They thought since they were playing against lunatics who for 40 years have been loosening every nut and bolt they can find.
To make the whole thing fall apart, because that's when the oligarchs get to tell everybody what to do.
That's when the oligarchs get invited in, because if they can provide stability, they could be the fucking devil.
That's right.
No, it's a little different than like, that great line about, right, a unit that's lost would take directions from the devil. Because, fuck, man. Have you seen a bunch of idiots that look like me?
Yeah. Which way?
Which way? Fuck. And that's, right, because, again, the veneer of society wears thin at the places that were already hard enough.
Yeah.
Right, we've already got police departments turning around and going, well, we're going to do a lot of the broken windows policing. Oh, what got us here?
Yep.
Right, again, I haven't looked to see if it's still true, but for a while there, we were on trajectory to have 50% of our population in jail if we continued at the rate we were going.
Yep.
Baltimore was locking up a quarter of its population.
It's very profitable for the rich.
Yeah.
So little private prisons and
well,
without any oversight at all.
Nope, but everyone will be so scared by the time it starts affecting the Ashleys and Chazes of the world.
Yeah.
That
they won't struggle. They'll just go along and get along.
They won't. Their wealth won't exist after the charges.
Yeah.
Right, that their little circle of friends will pull back, as we've always seen from the rich kids when they're ultra busted.
Yep. So, hey, Democrats, you got your work cut out for you. Or you're going to live under the Trumpistas.
Yeah.
Right. And
so
and
make your choice. Make it soon.
Again,
make it work.
These, false arguments are just, it's getting fucked
Yeah,
up.
but we walked into that rake.
Yep. We
need to stop walking into that rake.
I just think that the moment somebody brings something up and you say, well, what about blah, 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 if they then steer off on this other course, okay, we're not having this discussion because you can't stay on topic. End of story.
That's all fine.
If Democrats or the press would do that,
it needs, right, absolutely.
But the press isn't on your side, America.
The response has to be, this is garbage. We're not going to discuss it. What we're going to talk about is this, this, and this. Mm-hmm. Right? And you just let them wallow in their little 3-letter acronyms.
Right.
I remember whichever fucking Bloomberg cousin was totally on your side, America, while he was advising his brother how to deal with the fact that he may have sexually assaulted some of your daughters.
Yeah.
So, but he's a good guy. Remember how fucking long we used to pretend Matt Lauer was a good guy who had a button to shut and lock the door in his office?
How do you get a button like that without getting fired?
Panic room.
Right.
Right? Yeah, no, probably because all of the, worst people in his chain of command were like, fuck me, I want one too. That's brilliant. How did I not know? So, fuck, man.
All right, so I think that's it for us tonight. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, follow, heart.
And only trust us. The rest are lying to you.
Yeah.
Comment most of all.
Yeah. Do you love us? Do you hate us? Let us know. Share with your family, your friends, people you hate, people you just met. That dude that you sit down at the bar next to. I don't give a fuck. Tell them about us. Let them know. Share the light, the warmth.
Call it up on his cell phone and mark it as a favorite.
So you can find us at BoomerRexTonight on Twitter. BoomerRex is our YouTube. You can also search for BoomerRexTonight and it will bring you to our page. Boomer Rex Tonight, no spaces, on Facebook. Excuse me. And Boomer Rex Tonight on Podbean and most likely your favorite podcast service.
There you go.
So we love you all, and we will see you back here tomorrow night on Boomer Rex Tonight.
All right.